My name is Allison Hughes Handley, and I'm the president of the University of Maine at Augusta, and I graduated from the doctoral program in 1978. I was working part-time in Baltimore City schools as a home and hospital teacher for children who either were out of school because of a medical condition, and there was quite a buzz and excitement. The rumor circulated that there was going to be a doctoral program in education. It was a very, very competitive process, and so there was a lot of nail biting and anxiety, but I was absolutely thrilled. I can remember opening the letter informing me that I was going to be in the first cohort, so it was a very, very exciting time to be at the university. There were three key people who had been responsible for writing the program, developing it, and those people were Dr. Gil Schiffman, Dr. Paul Daniels, who was my advisor, and Dr. Jules Abrams. And all three of those fellows had been at Temple University, and that's where they had done their graduate work. And we were very fortunate as students because then President Stephen Muller, who was a real visionary, he wanted there to be a new education offering. And this was a new degree for Johns Hopkins, an EDD. It certainly had dissertation requirements as well as coursework, but we also were required to do a one-year internship. So it was unique. It combined the very best of scholarly work, research, but also that very practical orientation that I think Johns Hopkins has always had in the field of education. So we felt very special to be in that first cohort of 7 students, and we came from very different stages of life and age groups. It was quite a diverse group. We had a couple of people who were principals. I had been a high school teacher. Several of the people who were in the program had elementary teaching experience, so we bonded pretty instantly. And the very interesting piece was that everyone, from the president on down, was tremendously invested in our success. So we had to work very hard. We were the beta test group, if you will, for this new approach, this new methodology. Very demanding coursework, very high expectations for us. So that was a blessing rather than a curse. It really motivated us to do our very best, and I loved being in the doctoral program. It was a unique learning experience and very enjoyable, which few people can say sometimes about their doctoral experiences. Many of the lessons from the doctoral program were of benefit professionally, but they also were personally. I learned 3 or 4 critical life messages or learnings, if you will. The first was I learned that whatever I thought I might be able to do, I could accomplish. And part of that was learned because, again, you were interacting with top-notch people in their fields, both at the university, at the medical complex, and there were high expectations, but there was tremendous encouragement. So you gained confidence. I learned about leadership because I had the opportunity to work with and have as professors and also as fellow classmates. There were some wonderful leaders in the cohort, and I'm sure that's true today. But there really was an expectation that we would take this experience, do the very best that we could with it, but we were expected to go out and really make the world a better place as a result of this unique new program, but certainly as part of the Johns Hopkins heritage. So I had no idea what opportunities would unfold, but it became clear as I moved into different positions of authority and responsibility that a key element in my success was the fact that I had a doctorate from Johns Hopkins, and the learning was powerful, the content information. I'm not minimizing that. It was critical. I learned to be a learner, to be a researcher, but I also learned how to be a change agent because there was that expectation that this wasn't an exercise only in developing your mind. There was what I would call a social conscience component that permeated the entire program. So that was a very powerful takeaway. When I was in the doctoral program, I had lots of personal aspirations, did not have a clear vision of where I would end up, but certainly had a lot of reinforcement for assuming a leadership role and being a problem solver. There were many experiences to develop those skills. And I also, as part of the doctoral program, was able to do a special independent study where I spent about 6 months interviewing leaders, including President Muller and other leaders within and outside of the university and within and outside of education. And it gave me an individual, professional and personal opportunity to find out about leadership, what made leaders great. I had that opportunity with my professors, and I increasingly had opportunities then for more and more responsibility. I was a mother of 3 children, so I was balancing my children's lives, and was fortunate that for many years I did not work full-time. I worked part-time, but once my children were a little bit older, there were incredible opportunities that came my way, and I had the confidence to be able to strike out and believe that I was a candidate who was worthy for a dean's position, a vice president's position, and ultimately a president's position. So yes, Hopkins had a great deal to do with building that confidence and the skill set that would enable me to be successful. In my life, I've had the opportunity to encourage many students to pursue higher education, and certainly I've recommended Johns Hopkins as a place that should be high on someone's list. Particularly my experience in the master's program, but then the doctoral program, demonstrated to me that Hopkins not only has this incredibly deep and rich and scholarly tradition behind it, but the highest standards and expectation for learning and for research and for being engaged and involved in the communities in which you live. I don't think that there's another institution that can match the legacy and the current commitment that Johns Hopkins, its leaders, its faculty, have made and have demonstrated.